Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show. Obviously, we're back as a trio this evening. So, obviously, welcome along, everyone. If you're watching this live this evening or at any other time, we're back with another Bundesliga prediction show / fantasy show. Of course, we're doing this in partnership with Bulinews. Of course. Below me on the screen, anyway, is Rune, who is editor-in-chief at Bulinews. They're a brilliant website that obviously provide Bundesliga articles and news in English, obviously alongside fantastic fantasy football tips, which of course we will go on to in due course to give Rune his congratulations on how well he's doing. But obviously, before we do that, we do our predictions. So obviously, we've got the dream trio back this evening. So obviously we missed out a couple of weeks ago because of the international break, and then we had a bit more of a break as well. So we're back, ready to do some good predictions, and hopefully for Rune to give us some fantastic advice regarding the fantasy football. So obviously, without further delay, let's crack on with match day 9 predictions. I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah, looking ahead. Yeah. So obviously the first game that we have of match week 9 is a Friday night game, and we've got Mainz hosting FC Augsburg. Obviously they're two teams not in great form. Of course, Mainz have had a very strong start so far this season, haven't they? So for me, just very briefly, I'm going to say a 2-0 home win. I've got it on my phone, that's why I keep on looking up and down. A fairly comfortable home win for me. Again, I just feel like Augsburg is still lacking that threat going forward. I think Mainz will be able to use this game as a way to bounce back. So we'll throw it over to you, Mark, first, and then we'll get Rune's prediction.
Yeah, I think this is a tough one to predict, to be honest, because obviously Mainz, they started off so well. We've talked a lot about how good Bo Svensson is in general, but I mean, they have dropped off the last few games. We've got to be honest. 3 defeats in a row now, which is by far the worst run that they've been on since Bo Svensson took over. But yeah, I think this is a good game, really, to get back on track, really. I mean, obviously, Augsburg haven't been great. I thought they were unlucky not to win last week against Bielefeld, though, to be honest, with the better side in that game. A couple of decisions went against them, especially with the very narrow offside in the last minute, really. But yeah, I still think Mainz have got too much for them in this game. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I don't think it'll be very comfortable, but I think, yeah, Mainz will get the win there.
Good stuff. Rune, you're going to make it 3 from 3?
Yeah, I've gone for a 2-0 win for Mainz. As you said, two teams not in great form. They've been losing a lot of games recently, but I think Mainz have lost against tougher opposition than Augsburg, in fairness. And yeah, Augsburg are yet to win a game away from home this season. And with the way Mainz started out the season, I think they've got the quality to win this. And I can't really see Augsburg getting anything out of this game.
Good stuff. Right, let's move on to Saturday afternoon games. So we've got the champions Bayern hosting Hoffenheim. So both teams coming off a brilliant weekend in terms of their results. Obviously, both teams hitting 5 goals. So should really be an entertaining game. If Hoffenheim take that second half over to Bayern, I think it will be a really close game. Obviously, Hoffenheim are very hit and miss, it seems, certainly this season as well. I've gone for Bayern, but I'm going to make it an open, exciting game. So I'm saying 3-2 to the champions. Mark, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think obviously we asked a question, didn't we, on the review show on Monday, like, can Hoffenheim back up a performance? I mean, in some ways, you'd say it's unlucky after such a good performance to end up with probably the hardest fixture of the season, which makes it very difficult to back up that result. But at the same time, you could see it as a free shot, really, for Hoffenheim, because nobody expects them to get anything there. I agree with you, Rory. I think they'll make a game of it, but I just think Bayern are looking too good at the moment. Obviously, we saw them lose the last home game, which was a bit of a freak result, really, let's be honest, against Frankfurt. But I think so far this season, they've been world-class, to be honest, in pretty much every game. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win for Bayern there.
Yeah, Rune, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I've gone for a 3-1 home win as well. As you said, Bayern are simply playing at another level at the moment, I think. And yeah, Hoffenheim will take confidence from their big win last week, but at the same time, they've been really inconsistent this season. And it doesn't get much tougher than an away game at Allianz Arena against the Bayern side in the current form. So 3-1 win for the home side.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. The next game, again, promises probably to be another one where we'd all generally agree on it. So we've got RB Leipzig hosting bottom of the table Greuther Fürth. Obviously it doesn't get any easier for the obviously still winless Fürth. I've gone for a 4-1 home win. Leipzig, generally speaking, do beat. Well, I say they do beat the teams that they should beat. Most of the time. But without digressing, I can't see them not winning this game by a good couple of goals. So Fürth might be happy with getting a goal. Mark, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think obviously we've seen Leipzig absolutely destroy Hertha, and I think that was 6-0. Then they beat Bochum very easily, even though it was late goals. It was still a very comfortable win, really 3-0. I think we'll see a similar kind of game here. There's Leipzig really enjoy this kind of game where they can just go and kind of attack without any too much worry of losing the game, really. And I think I've gone for a 4-0 win, but for Fürth it could be another case of keeping the score down, unfortunately, in this one.
Yeah, how many are they winning by then, Rune?
Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with you guys. I've gone for a 3-0 win, but the only question is by how big a margin Leipzig will win this game, I think, and I believe they will get at least those 3 goals, and then we'll see if they can score a few more. As you said, Mark, they thrashed Hertha a few weeks ago and have shown that they can really dominate an opponent if they get the better of them. So clear win for Leipzig.
Yeah. Oh, the only thing that Fürth might take from it is the way that they defended midweek or yesterday, I think it was against. Well, I mean, they were playing PSG to be fair to them, so slightly different level of opposition, I guess. Right, moving on. Wolfsburg, very much in trouble. Wolfsburg at the moment, hosting the very impressive Freiburg. So this is again on paper looks like a very good game. Might be quite a tight contest, maybe not the most free-flowing, and I'm going to back the away side to pour on more misery onto Van Bommel. So I'm saying 2-1 Freiburg. Mark?
Yeah, I think Van Bommel looks very much in trouble at the moment. The side doesn't look to be defending anywhere near as well. We've seen Lacroix hasn't been at the same level. Obviously, they conceded 2 goals from set plays last night as well against Salzburg. I think they've got problems at the moment, the Wolves. And I think I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw here, simply because I think Freiburg will probably be happy to stay unbeaten from this game, really. But I think if Freiburg really want to win the game and they push on in the last 20 minutes, they could potentially get a win. But 1-0 for me.
Yeah, and Rune?
Yeah, I've gone for a 2-1 win for Freiburg, like you, Rory. I can see them getting their away win here. As you said, Wolfsburg have been in a lot of trouble, and unlike the start of the season, they've conceded a lot of soft goals lately. I think they've really thrived on their defensive solidity at the start of the season, but they haven't been able to do that in the past few weeks. And at the same time, they struggle to create chances. And I can see Freiburg hit them on the counter in this game. I think it's a game that will suit Freiburg very well. So, a narrow away win.
Yeah, particularly with Grifo's delivery, and after the goals that they conceded again midweek in the Champions League, some poor goals from set pieces. You'd imagine Freiburg could well be on top of that. Right, moving on again. Bielefeld hosting Borussia Dortmund again. So I think that's still Saturday afternoon. Obviously, Dortmund shell-shocked in midweek. So I think they'll obviously be wanting to put that right, and I think they'll do so. Fairly comfortable 3-0 win, I'm going to say, to put more pressure onto Bielefeld. Mark?
Yeah, I think the worry for Bielefeld is it seems to be getting worse every week from what I can see. I think they started off being a little bit unlucky, really, and I think they probably should have got a couple of wins from those draws early on. I thought they were very poor against Augsburg last week and were lucky to get a point, in all honesty, against a side that they probably should be beating, really, in all honesty. And I think, I think I agree with Rory that it'll be comfortable, but you just can't back Dortmund to keep a clean sheet at the minute, can you? I mean, obviously, no clean sheets in 8 games. They shipped 4. They were very, very poor against Ajax in midweek, actually. Admittedly, Ajax were very good, but my God, they were battered in that game. So, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for the away side in this one.
Good stuff. Yeah, and Rune, what do you think to this one?
Yeah, I've gone for a 2-0 win for Dortmund. Actually, I agree with you, Mark. Dortmund are poor defensively and have struggled to keep clean sheets. But at the same time, I think Bielefeld have looked really toothless up front. So I actually think that Dortmund might be able to keep a rare clean sheet here and win this game quite comfortably.
Very good. The last Saturday game is Hertha, and they host Gladbach. For me, this is a really hard one to predict because, frankly, both teams this season have been incredibly hard to predict the way that they're going to play. So with that in mind, I'm going to do my usual sit on the fence and hope for the best. So I'm going to say 1-1. I think obviously Hertha are more comfortable away from home, but generally speaking, they've done what they needed to do against the poorer teams in order to stay away from the relegation zone. So I think they'll be able to pick up a half decent point for this one. So yeah, Mark, do you concur with that or do you disagree?
This is a hard one. I really had no idea what to put for this one because I think like Hertha, I've got to be honest, last week I thought that was the best Hertha have played in probably since we've been doing the Bundesliga show. I thought they were brilliant in that game. I really did. I thought it wasn't just the result, but also the performance as well. And obviously their fans and obviously Pal Dardai are going to be hoping they can back that performance up, which is something that they've never really done for years. Let's be honest, for probably 3 seasons really now. They've not had that consistency. But I agree with you, Rory. I think they will get a point from this game, but it'll be 2-2. I don't know why I'm saying 2-2, but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in this one.
Yeah, both teams can score goals for sure. Rune, do you think it's going to be a draw?
Nah, I'm actually backing Gladbach to win this one. So I've gone for a 3-1 win for the away side.
Nice.
I was actually rather surprised that Hertha won against Frankfurt last week, especially since Frankfurt beat Bayern in the game before, and Hertha have looked quite poor for most games this season. But yeah, as you said, they played really well. But I think Gladbach played really well against Stuttgart as well, and they definitely deserved to win that game. It was a bit of a freak game, I think, with Gladbach creating numerous clear-cut chances, but just failing to get the goal they needed. And I think they've been playing some great football lately. It seems to be finding their feet under Hütter at last. And I think they have too much quality for Hertha at the moment. So yeah, an away win, I'd say.
Good stuff. All right, let's move on to Sunday's games very quickly. We've got 3 games. This one looks like a good one. Köln hosting by Leverkusen, of course, a local derby. So it should add a bit of spice to it. Leverkusen, of course, both teams will want to respond to their humbling. It's amazing how Bayern and Hoffenheim are playing each other after beating the teams that are playing each other who got battered by those 2 teams. So obviously both teams want to respond. And I think that Leverkusen will respond the best way and get a narrow 2-1 away win to reignite their season once more. They're obviously playing in the Europa, or they were earlier. Last time I checked, it was 0-0. That obviously is finished now. But yeah, of course, they'll have to back that up and try and get some their better players back on the pitch because I think they rotated a lot for the Europa League this week. So 2-1 away win for me. Mark, quickly on to you.
Yeah, just to finalise that, they actually got a 1-1 draw in Betis, so that's like a decent result, really. I think to back that up. But as we say in English, like anything can happen on Derby Day, And I think obviously for Cologne, this is a big game. Obviously, they had a really good season up to last week, But that was kind of like they were desperately poor against Hoffenheim last week. But I think this is a good game. It's a better game for Cologne than it is for Leverkusen for me, definitely. And I think obviously while we have really talked up Leverkusen a lot this season, in the past they have had that bad habit of kind of backing up bad results, if you know what I mean, with kind of a second bad result in a row. And I've just got a funny feeling that Cologne might nick this one. Actually, I've gone for 2-1 to the home side.
Okay, very good. So we've got one result each way. Rune, what are you saying to this one?
Yeah, I've gone for a 3-1 win for Leverkusen. I think Köln really struggled without Eliaski in midfield last week. It was really clear that they were missing him in midfield, and I don't think they have anyone who can quite come in to replace him. And he was just like the backbone in their midfield, I think, behind all those offensive players. So they really need to fix that defense, I think, if they are to have a chance against Leverkusen with the way Leverkusen have created chances and all their exciting offensive players. And I'm not really sure they can do that without Elias Giri. So, 3-1 win for Leverkusen.
Very good. Last 2 games then. We'll run through it quickly. So Stuttgart at home to Union Berlin. Interesting one. This again. I'm going to back my boys for a home win. Actually, 2-1. Obviously, looking at the team that Union Berlin have just put out again this evening in the Europa Conference League, pretty much, very strong team. Cruiser 1 year started, and they unfortunately lost. But I think they'll struggle to maybe back that up. And Stuttgart are starting to look a bit more settled. So 2-1 to my boys at home, hopefully. So Mark, what do you reckon to this one?
Yeah, I've been a little bit surprised about Union's struggles in Europe, really. I think they got a little bit unlucky with the draw because it's quite a strong group considering it's the Europa Conference League, obviously, But I think obviously 2 defeats in that. But in the league, I think they've been really, really good. And they've been backing up those Thursday nights really well so far, that's for sure. I think on the last time they played away, they actually won away in Mainz. And this is a kind of similar difficulty level game, I would say,
Yeah.
So I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw in this one. I think Stuttgart are improving, but I still think they're a shadow of the side they were last season for me. And I agree with Rune. I think they were lucky to get a point really last week against Gladbach. I think, they'll do enough to stay up, but I think they're a lower mid-table side now, Stuttgart, for me. And until they get some of the better players back, and obviously maybe a few signings in January as well. But I think, Union should be able to get a point, maybe even win this one.
Okie doke. Yeah, Rune, very quickly, what do you think to this one?
Yeah, I've gone for a 1-1 draw, this one. Stuttgart could have a few important players back from isolation. Valdemar Anton and Mangala have been tipped to start as far as I can see. And they showed a lot of heart last week. They were lucky to get the draw, but I think they can take confidence from that result. And I think it's kind of hard fixtures to predict, but I think both sides will be satisfied with the draw here. So 1-1.
Good stuff. And then on to Bochum and Frankfurt to round off the week or weekend. Interesting one this because of course Frankfurt have been very underwhelming, and Bochum, without their main man Simon Zoller, have really struggled to get goals. So for that very reason, and the fact that Bochum are at home, I'm going to back another draw, 1-1 for me. Mark?
Yeah, I think this is a game that really Frankfurt really need to be winning, to be honest, because obviously they had that dreadful result really against Hertha. A couple of weeks ago, they'd have been looking at these 2 games and thinking, 6 points and our season's back on the road after the win at Bayern. But obviously they got none from the game against Hertha. I think for Bochum, they might see this as a winnable game at the minute. There's not many games that they'll see as winnable at the minute, Bochum, but this is one that they could potentially see as winnable, obviously, with Frankfurt's form. But I've also gone for a 1-1 draw in this one. I think Bochum might just sneak a point in this one.
Yeah, very good. And then Rune, last prediction of the week. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I've gone for the same result as you guys, a 1-1 draw. I agree with much of the things you said. Frankfurt should be able to win this game, but I don't think they have managed to win the games that they should win this season. They have actually drawn a lot of games by 1-1, like 5 times or something like that in the league alone. So, I think another draw.
Good stuff, right? Well, obviously we've now, we've looked ahead to match week 9 and done some predictions. So obviously what is next is the fantasy football section of the show. So this is where we pretty much pile on the pressure onto Rune and for him to tell us what to do. So Rune, probably first and foremost, let's look at the league positions quickly, actually, before we get into it. So obviously we're going to reveal that Rune is in joint first place. There we go. I've been slowly doing a little bit better, so I'm 162nd, and Mark's not been having a very good time of it. He's dropped down. You were ahead of me early on, so it's all gone. It's all gone wrong for Mark, unfortunately.
I need more of Rune's tips, I think.
I think you do need to listen. Well, Rune did give me a couple of tips, to be fair, last weekend, although some of them worked out better than others. Right then, so first of all, Rune, any kind of major headlines to kind of look out for ahead of match week 9? Certain teams playing each other, because obviously we just looked at RB Leipzig maybe playing at home to Greuther Fürth. So do you want to take us through a few bits that you've kind of picked out to start with?
Yeah, I think I'm going to talk about the teams you need to invest in and the teams you should avoid or get rid of. And I think teams that you that you need to buy are, of course, RB Leipzig with their home game against Greuther Fürth, and it's all about like finding the right players to pick from Leipzig, because their starting lineup can be kind of hard to predict. So it's about maybe choosing some of the safer starters, or perhaps if you want to gamble, you could go for a player like Dominik Szoboszlai and just hope that he's starting because he could be a really nice differential this week if he starts. If he's on the bench, then it's pretty bad. So yeah, it all depends on how much you want to gamble with them. I think they have some players that are clear starters, such as Nkunku. Yeah, that would be like an obvious pick. But there are a few like differentials that you could go for as well. But definitely a team to keep an eye on this week. And I also think that Gladbach is a great team to invest in this week. They have some really good assets, some pretty cheap assets in defense, in particular with Joe Scally and Luka Netz, both set to start. Especially Joe Scally is so cheap and picking up a lot of points. He's actually their second highest scorer this season in the league. So yeah, he's kind of a must-have player as well. Also because he's kind of an enabler to like fund more expensive players elsewhere on the pitch. Also in midfield, they've got some really good options in Jonas Hofmann and Lars Stindl, for example, who we know can pick up a lot of points when they're on their game, like Hofmann did last week. He was a really good player to have last week. Yeah, I think Leverkusen also a team to like stay on your radar. I know they lost heavily last time out, but I think Köln haven't kept a clean sheet all season, and I think Leverkusen have scored a lot of goals, and they have some really exciting assets going forward the pitch. In defense, they have a player like Frimpong, who's fairly cheap and who has managed to pick up a lot of points, very offensive fullback, and of course Florian Wirtz in midfield and Patrick Schick up front. I think they have some exciting options that will pick up points even if they don't win the game against Köln. And Mainz also a team I would keep an eye on this week with the Friday night standalone fixture at home against Augsburg. They've also got some pretty cheap players. So if you're looking for like cheap differentials, I think the likes of Sylvain Widmer in defense or Jonathan Burkhardt up front could maybe work out. In terms of which teams to avoid or get rid of, I would probably sell my Köln assets. I know Florian Kainz and Benno Schmitz are some of the players that have done well for Köln in fantasy terms this season, but with the heavy loss last week and the fact that Skiri is out, I think that's a huge problem for Köln. And I definitely wouldn't invest, and I would probably look to sell my Köln assets. And obviously the same with Hoffenheim. I think maybe if you own Kramaric, then you can keep him because he's kind of fixture proof. He can also score against Bayern, but in general, I would always look to sell players when they're up against Bayern. And finally, I think Augsburg and Wolfsburg are two teams to avoid as well, with the poor form they're in, and it's not looking like things will get better for them anytime soon, and their matchups are kind of hard, so I would avoid them as well.
Okay, and then is there any kind of players in particular that obviously we'll go for some players that you should maybe throw in, like you said, some differentials, and then maybe tell us about a couple of players that are linked to those other teams that you would want to maybe take out, some of the cheaper players that have been doing well, like Florian Kainz, as you've already mentioned. So, Rune, if you want to just start with a couple of, some good, some obviously wild card shouts to put in your teams for this next week. And obviously we've got another a couple of games until the next international break, or I think we've got slightly longer this time, have we?
Well, I would keep an eye on the Friday night game because German football magazine Kicker is predicting Aaron to replace Anderson Lukoki at the left wing back position. And fortunately, since Mainz play on Friday evening, you will be able to see if Aaron starts, and he costs 2.7 million. And he has shown earlier this season in the opener against Leipzig, I think he picked up 9 points or something like that. So if he plays, then he could provide really good value, and if he doesn't, then you can pick Lukoki, and he will provide good value as well for a fairly cheap price. And Sylvain Widmer is another good option, I think, on the other side of defense. So those would be a few players I would consider based on who are in the lineup. And like I said, Joe Scally, I think, is a kind of must-have player at the moment. If you don't already own him, then I think it's time to get him in because he's so cheap and picks up so many points. And yeah, Luka Netz is another good option, as I mentioned, in defense. Rami Bensebaini seems to be nearing full fitness or getting back. I think Netz will start this time, but in the long term, then he might push Netz out of the lineup. So that's one thing to be concerned about with him. Also, still think Nico Gieselman is a good option from Union Berlin. I probably wouldn't buy him though because Union face Bayern next time out. But if I had him in my team, I would definitely keep him. And in midfield, I think Wu Yong from Freiburg could be a cheeky differential. He scored last time out against Leipzig, and I just saw Christian Streich really singing his praises. And he plays pretty far up the pitch despite being a midfielder. Costs 4.9 million, and I can see him score against Wolfsburg. Freiburg's fixtures are actually quite good at the moment, so he would be a good player in midfield. And up front, finally, Omar Mamouche from Stuttgart. I think he had another productive game last week, picking up 8 points against Gladbach, despite the fact that Stuttgart were under a lot of pressure. And he seems to be like a consistent source of points. Costs just 4 million. So if you're in for a cheap striker, then I would probably go for him. Or Jonathan Burkhardt costs a few million more. But he scored against Dortmund last week and will face a struggling Augsburg side at home in a standalone fixture on Friday. So he'd also be a good option, I think, for a fairly cheap price.
Good stuff. And then just kind of looking obviously at the fixtures and stuff, and it made me think of a question actually, and it relates to like derby days. And so if you're ever looking at your players and they've got a big derby coming ahead of themselves, so obviously, for example, this weekend, Köln and Leverkusen, are you ever thinking to take players out, Rune, because of potential high tempers and red and yellow cards and things like that, or does it not really affect your points enough to do that?
I guess it depends on the derby and the player. I mean, if we're talking about a player like Florian Wirtz, I think he's shown that he is pretty fixture proof, and he also made an assist last time out against Bayern and picked up 8 points despite the fact that they lost so heavily. So it kind of depends. I mean, if it's a player who's known to have a temper, then I would maybe consider it more than if it's an offensive player that won't commit that many free kicks anyway. I mean, it can also be like a positive thing that a player really wants to make a difference when it's a derby. So
very true.
Yeah, not really in general. I wouldn't pay too much attention to it.
Good stuff. Well, Mark, are you listening up there? Yes, to make sure that you make the appropriate changes for this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I actually started off with Wirtz in the team, but surprisingly, I think he didn't even play the first couple of games this season, actually. Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to have to take him out. And then since then, he's been an absolute world beater, So I think that just about sums up my luck, really, in the Bundesliga fantasy football so far. But yeah, I think my advice would be the key is to remember to always check the team news as well before, because I can admit I made a few mistakes with the team news, and then by the time I realized it was too late to change it, so it was always make sure you're up to date with suspensions, injuries, and things like that well before the start of the weekend. And obviously you can find a lot of that information on Bulinews as well. Remember Rune's site, it's always very, very useful for that, especially for some of the smaller teams too, because obviously the main Bundesliga site tends to cover mostly Bayern, Dortmund, and Leipzig, really, doesn't it? Whereas if you want to get a lot of kind of English news on some of the smaller clubs, then Bulinews is a great place to go, really.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much that for the show. Obviously, before we go, we should say that not only is Rune joined first in our league, obviously Bulinews and Over the Bar. So if you're not already in it, come and join it. You should really listen to him because he's joined 17th in the world at the moment, Rune?
19th, I think.
19th. Well, we'll let you off. It's 19th acceptable in the world. That's not too shabby at all.
Not bad.
Yeah, top work. Thanks very much as always, Rune. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hopefully everyone that's watching, you enjoy the show. Obviously, Obviously join in as much as you can, listen to Rune's tips, and let us know how you're getting on if you're in our league or another league. Hopefully these tips are useful for you, and our predictions, of course, let us know if you agree or disagree with any of them, particularly if it involves your team. Right, so that pretty much sums us up perfectly. So obviously hand over to Mark as always to close up the show.
Yeah, so remember to check out our Twitter feed, so @OverTheBarEpi and @OverTheBarExtra. We got around 8,000 followers on there as well. So yeah, it'd be perfect if we could get even more of you guys on board with that. Yeah, also the main site of our stuff is otbfootball.net. So remember to check that out. So you can see links to the League One and League Two show. Remember, we've also got a League Two show. I know some of our regulars are League Two fans as well. So yeah, remember to go and check that out. Yeah, and obviously also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe like as much as possible, because we're really interested to hear from you guys. Obviously, we got a few American followers as well recently, so it's great to hear from you guys and see what you think about the Bundesliga. Give us some comments about what you think about some of the rising stars from the from America and obviously Canada as well. So yeah, let us know what you think about that, and obviously also let us know what you think about our predictions too. And we like to know what you guys think too. Okay, yeah, so I think that's just about everything. So obviously the next show will be going live. I think it's Sunday this week, right, Rory?
Yeah, well, we'll be recording Sunday, but the show will air as always on a Monday. So I don't think it will be live this week, but hopefully we'll have a guest for you. Been working on that a little bit behind the scenes, so we should have loads more guests in the coming weeks, and hopefully a lot of exciting news for the channel in general. So obviously, please, keep your eyes peeled for that. Yeah. Okay. So that's it from us, and see you on Monday.
Cheers all.
Yeah.